So Genie is a feral child who was a victim of severe abuse, neglect, social isolation. I remember learning about her, and she did not develop, the extent of her isolation prevented her from being exposed to any significant amount of speech, and as a result, she did not acquire language during her childhood. When she was older, she really struggled to learn language. Linguists saw her as providing an opportunity to gain further insight into the processes controlling language acquisition skills and to test theories and hypotheses identifying critical periods during which humans learned to understand and use language. Within months, she developed exceptional nonverbal communication skills and gradually learned some basic social skills. So she was able to pick up on the nonverbal communication. But even by the end of their case study, she still exhibited many behavioral traits characteristic of an unsocialized person. What are social skills? So, could she talk? No, she also continued to learn and use new language skills throughout the time they tested her, but ultimately remained unable to fully acquire a first language. Yeah, because it's not innate to just a human to pick up these grammars. It's only innate if you are a baby being raised with these grammars, is my personal hypothesis. Because of the genie as one example, and not just other situations like that I've learned about. Indeed, such programs are stuck in a pre-human or non-human phase of cognitive evolution. They're never meant to be human. Oh my gosh. A non-human... I feel like they're implying that human intelligence is the highest form of intelligence, when in reality, we are going to be lapped by AI. We already are lapped by AI, and I think we just don't realize it yet. But seriously, such programs are stuck in a pre-human or non-human phase of cognitive evolution. Oh, no, never mind. I'm full of shit. Don't listen to me. This is about the child. Wait, no. No, it's not. It's completely different from that of a machine learning program, which such programs are stuck. For two linguistics people, this article's GG. The child's operating system is completely different. So are we talking about the child's operating system here? Such programs. Their deepest flaw is the absence of the most critical capacity of any intelligence, to say not only what is the case, what was the case, and what will be the case, that's description and prediction, but also what is not the case and what could and could not be the case. Those are the ingredients of explanation, the mark of true intelligence. I feel like the people that wrote this are so stuck in the idea of human essentialism and humans being the ultimate form of intelligence that what is this? Those are the mark of true intelligence. What's that Einstein quote? Judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. Everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. And in this case, the AI is not going to think that it's stupid. Just humans are going to believe that it's stupid, and they're measuring the fish wrong. Why are you measuring this fish by its ability to climb a tree? Doesn't make any sense. Those are the ingredients of explanation, blah, blah. Here's an example. Suppose you are holding an apple in your hand. Now you let the apple go. You observe the result and say, the apple falls. That is a description. A prediction might have been the statement, the apple will fall if I open my hand. Both are valuable and both can be correct. But an explanation is something more. It includes not only description and predictions, but also counterfactual conjectures, like any such object would fall, plus the additional clause, because of the force of gravity, or because of the curvature of space-time, or whatever. That is a causal explanation. The apple would not have fallen but for the force of gravity. That is thinking. The crux of machine learning is description and prediction. It does not posit any causal mechanisms or physical laws. Ooh, I see. I see where the issue is. I think that is where the issue is. Okay, Okay. So, if we take the idea of machine learning and the way that they're trained. Often, there's like a training set. There's like one set that's used to train and one set that's used to test. The training set is providing descriptions to this machine learning algorithm. We'll call it Jimbo. So Jimbo is they're receiving data that tells them how they should respond. And then the test set is testing them on their predictions and also grading them against this like accurate description that they do know the answer for because it's a test set. It's like when you take a test as a human being, you are being tested against an answer key. It's the same thing here. I think one of the major differences, one of the major differences here is that emergent properties of large language models. Go ahead and look at a couple of these large language model properties. Okay, let's go ahead and read this. In this paper, we will discuss the unpredictable phenomena of emergent abilities of large language models. Emergence has an idea that's been discussed in domains such as physics, biology, and computer science. An ability is emergent if it is not present in smaller models, but it is present in larger models. They would not have been predicted by extrapolating a scaling law from small-scale models. So a small-scale model would be that example of like something that's just receiving this training set and the test set. For example, I don't know, like an image identifier machine learning thing, right? But language models are bigger. Yes, so few-shot prompted tasks. We first discuss emergent abilities in the prompting paradigm as popularized by GPT-3. In prompting, a pre-trained language model is given a prompt, a natural language instruction of a task, and completes the response without any further training or gradient updates to its parameters. Brown et al. Proposed few-shot prompting, which includes a few input-output examples in the model's context input as a preamble before asking the model to perform the task for an unseen inference time example. An example prompt is shown in Figure 1. Example of an input and output for few-shot prompting. Input, review, this movie sucks. Sentiment, negative. Review, I love this movie. Sentiment, and then it answers positive. So that positive would go right here. Let me go down there. It would go right after that sentiment there. And then there's just, they're explaining why it works. Oh my gosh. Words in context, 2H. This is 2, this is H. Oh my gosh, word in context. Look at that accuracy. Oh, and look how much higher it got. Wow, that's incredible. Oh, and as these are getting bigger, these are properties that are emerging here. Wow, that's incredible. And sure, they're not perfect, but like these things are going to keep getting bigger. There's also augmented prompting strategies. Although few-shot prompting is perhaps currently the most common way of interacting with large language models, recent work has proposed several other prompting and fine-tuning strategies to further augment the abilities of language models. If a technique shows no improvement or is harmful when compared to the baseline of not using the technique until applied to a model of large enough scale, we also consider the technique an emergent ability. Math word problems, instruction following, 8-digit addition. Oh my gosh. Calibration. Okay, there's a discussion. We have seen that a range of abilities in a few-shot prompting setup or otherwise have thus far only been observed when evaluated on a sufficiently large model. Hence, their emergence cannot be predicted by simply extrapolating performance on smaller scale models. Emergent few-shot prompted tasks are also unpredictable. Basically, the tasks are not explicitly in the training, but because of the large amount of connections inside of this corpus of words. Oh my gosh, I need to be able to visualize these things because I can visualize them in my head, but it's a lot harder to visualize them out of my head. Essentially, what we're doing is taking ngrams of words. What an ngram is. So let's say this is our test sentence. If we have an ngram level of 1, that would mean that we're taking one word. In this case, we are going to take a start key because we want to say that it's the start of our statement, and then the next word. And after that word is this. And we'll go ahead and even put this in our little list. Boom. So start and this. And then we're going to have this bar is. Is. Hour. Hour. Test. Test. No, don't do that. Sentence. And then technically, there's not one for the end of this, but that's where it'll end, because there's nothing for sentence to go off of. So now let's say that we want to give it a prompt, and that prompt is a start key. So we want to say it just like start the prompt. It'll go in this dictionary and it'll say, okay, start goes to this. Great. So then it'll go this, and then it'll say, okay, now we have this. This goes to is. Great. Okay, now we got is. Is goes to hour. Awesome. Hour goes to, test. Great. Test. Great. That's what we got. Test goes to sentence. Perfect. Sentence. No sentence. Okay, that's the end. That's the prompt, and that's the output. This is our test sentence. Great. That's awesome. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and say we're going to add another test sentence. So this is going to be, we're just going to add test sentence blues, because I want to demonstrate a property of this for you. So we'll go ahead and redraw this. We are going to go ahead and take this corpus that we already have, because we already inputted this. This is our test sentence. We're going to go ahead and take this corpus. Now we're going to add to it. Okay, so what do we have? We have a start key. So we'll go ahead and add another start key. And what's after our start? After our start is a test. Great. After our test is sentence. Awesome. We already have that one, so we're going to go ahead and just plop it down here again. Go ahead and... I just did that because I wanted it to be faster, but a computer wouldn't do it like that. It would rewrite it completely. Okay, then we'll say, on sentence. What's after sentence? Oh, it's blues. Great. So we'll go down here. Go ahead and go after it. Sentence. Damn it, it's messing up our formatting. Blues. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and have our prompt and our output. We're going to take our prompt. It's going to be start. And then our output, it's going to say, okay, start. Let's see. Oh, there's 2 for start. Let me see which one I should do. Hey Siri, flip a coin. It's great. So it's going to be this output. This. Okay, we have this. After this. This is. This is. Great. Is. Now we have is. After is, hour. Great. Now we have hour. Hour, test. Great. Okay, now we have test. Oh, we have 2. Oh, okay. Great. Awesome. Hey Siri, flip a coin again. So we're gonna go ahead and go with this one. So after test is sentence. Perfect. And after sentence here is blues. Perfect. Awesome. Now, if you have noticed, even though we added, this is our test sentence in initially, that was our sentence here, the next one just added test sentence blues. Somehow, we ended up with an output that included, this is our test sentence blues. You can see that it combined multiple inputs here. It combined multiple of these training prompts, and it was able to generate an output that combines them in more complicated ways than it was fed in. Now, this is a demonstration of what's called a 1 gram. The way this works is the number of words in a sequence. So if it was a 2 gram, it would be start this, and then it would be this is, which would be followed up by our test. And then we would have is our, which is followed up by test sentence. And then we wouldn't go any farther because our test breaks it out when it tries to go to sentence. And then like a 3 gram would be start, this is. The next one would be our test sentence. It wouldn't go any farther. If we had a 4, it wouldn't work. Now, what these large language models do is they're able to look at the chains of text at much larger lengths than we are because they have massive amounts of training data. The other thing is that as this training data is being ingested by this large language model, these connections are being built left and right. And for our one little example of this is our test sentence blues, these large language models will also experience new outputs that are completely novel, especially if prompts are being generated with multi-engrams. If prompts are being generated that can get it to go on the correct paths through the language. Because if you notice here, if we had actually gotten start to test, we would have gone test to sentence, and then we would have gone sentence to blues. So it would have been test sentence blues, which is exactly the thing that we put in here. Point being, sometimes these generate novel responses, sometimes they don't. Now, at a large length, or at an extremely large amount of data, the potential paths through the words are, I don't want to say limitless, but they're extremely high. And that I believe, oh wait, let's just read what they think. Although there are dozens of examples of emergent abilities, there are currently few compelling explanations for why such abilities emerge in the way that they do. For certain tasks, there may be natural intuitions for why emergence requires a model larger than a particular threshold scale. For example, if a multi-step reasoning task requires L steps of sequential computation, this might require a model with a depth of at least O to L layers. It is also reasonable to assume that more parameters and more training enable better memorization that could be helpful for tasks requiring real-world knowledge. As an example, good performance on closed-book question answering may require a model with enough parameters to capture the compressed knowledge base itself. Although language model-based compressors can have higher compression ratios than conventional compressors. Anyways, my theory is that it's the connections between the words. I'm going to finish reading this article. But my point of this whole thing was to explain that the crux of large language machine model learning is more than just description and prediction. It also involves these emergent properties that come with extremely large amounts of data. That was the point of that whole tangent. Sorry about that. Now, it does not posit any causal mechanisms or physical laws. Of course, any human-style explanation is not necessarily correct. We are fallible. But this is part of what it means to think. To be right, it must be possible to be wrong. Intelligence consists not only of creative conjectures, but also of creative criticism. Human-style thought is based on possible explanations and error correction, a process that gradually limits what possibilities can be rationally considered. As Sherlock Holmes said to Dr. Watson, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.